So, Anthony Joshua has put up a video on his YouTube channel, and it is a defiant message just explaining where he is at the current stage as he looks to regain his world titles against Andy Ruiz, which will take place either in November or December. Now, he had some things to say on the fight, and something he hasn't really touched upon since his loss, and finally he has come out and said where he is and where it all went wrong. This is what he had to say. Slipping and sliding shots isn't my forte. Long range boxing and power shots is my forte. Slipping and sliding is my third option, and it got me to the 7th round, but boom, I got hit again. Went down for the 4th time. Gum shield drops as I'm sucking in air. Get up and walk back to the corner. The ref calls me forward and then pushes me back. I thought he was going to put my gum shield back in, but the next thing I knew, he had called off the fight. So that is what Anthony Joshua has said in his own words about his defeat to Andy Ruiz Jr. and what really happened on the night. He did also say that there was nothing wrong physically. He was perfectly fine and ready to fight. But the only thing is, he didn't want to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. He said the guy in the ring with him wasn't the guy he wanted to fight. Obviously, he wanted to be fighting either Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury, and obviously Jarrell Miller, because that's who he was supposed to be fighting anyway, Jarrell Miller. But obviously the drug test failed, and Jarrell Miller was removed, and Andy Ruiz was brought in. He even wanted Luis Ortiz, but couldn't get that. So Andy Ruiz was the third choice. So after all of that, his mental energy was just drained, and he wasn't really hyped up for the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. That wasn't the fight he really wanted. And no matter where he was physically, if his mind wasn't there, he was never going to win the fight. It's just like if you go into the gym and try and perform exercises that you can normally do in your sleep. But if you're not there mentally, you're not going to be able to do it. And it is the same thing here. Anthony Joshua was there physically, but he was not there mentally. And that is where his downfall came. Take, for instance, Tony Bellew versus David Haye. 2 fights in the space of 18 months. David Haye in the first fight was there mentally. He ruptured his Achilles in what I think was the 5th round and then got knocked out in the 11th round. So for 6 rounds, he was hobbling around on one leg, yet he managed to stay in there because he knew he was still within a chance of winning the fight. Now in the second fight, he was perfectly fine physically, there were no injuries. Now obviously it was an aged David Haye, but still, he wasn't there mentally. He was mentally broken by the first defeat, and that is something he could not get past. Physically, maybe he was there, but mentally, he just wasn't. And ultimately, when he got hit by Tony Bellew and got dropped, that was it. Mentally, David Haye just could not get back into the fight, because I guarantee you, he trained and could have done 12 rounds of sparring quite easy. But in the fight, he was gassed after 3. You can be in the best shape in the world, but if your mind isn't there, then you are not going to win the fight. And that's exactly what happened to Anthony Joshua on June 1st when he lost his heavyweight titles. But in the rematch, his mind will be there. He will be ready to fight. And in the message he sent on his YouTube channel, it was a defiant message, and it was just letting everyone know where he was in his mind and where he will be going into the rematch. That just goes to show how powerful the mind is. It can pull a fighter through a fight when they are absolutely knackered and have nothing left, but have the will to just keep going and win the fight. Or it can betray you, just as it did with Anthony Joshua, when physically he was all there, but mentally he just wasn't. In the rematch, Anthony Joshua will be 100% mentally and 100% physically. And that is a winning formula. We have seen that in the past with Anthony Joshua's previous success in unifying titles. Although there will be demons from the first fight, but I believe that Anthony Joshua can mentally get past that because he is a competitor. He lives for the competition. So it has kind of put all of these rumours to bed. Anthony Joshua said himself, they are rumours for a reason. There was nothing wrong physically, but there was mentally. When you have a mental injury, that is something that is way worse than a physical injury. Especially going in there with a fighter like Andy Ruiz Jr., who maybe doesn't look like much, but he can really fight. He's a game opponent, and he knew that he could win this fight. But guys, what are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua's comments and how he is dealing and trying to rectify the first defeat of his professional career? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, click the thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.